You're listening to Have You Ever Wondered? It is Monday, June 20th, 2022. I'm Chloe, and the title of today's episode is What You Don't Know About Juneteenth. Why did it take so long? Why did it take so long? The original Emancipation Proclamation was issued on January 1st, 1863. But here we were, 2.5 years later. More than, if you really want to be specific, with slaves still on the books. Theories have been floated. There's a messenger. The guy who was sent to Texas to deliver the message was murdered along the way. The plantation owners kept the info to themselves so they could maintain their free labor for longer. The Union troops sent to liberate purposefully delayed so they could allow the slaves to finish collecting another cotton harvest. I even heard this morning someone say, well, they didn't have the internet. They're just being lazy getting the info out. I mean, that all sounds plausible, right? But why don't we know for sure? Lost information has always been a source of frustration for me, even when I was younger. We have written records and stories and accounts from throughout thousands of years of human history. And yet, still, certain specific things conveniently go missing. My first exposure to the antebellum South, which is a polite way of saying America in the throes of slavery, was in 6th grade, if I remember correctly. We had done a unit on the Civil War, and I was, of course, fascinated. So my English teacher at the time recommended that I read Gone with the Wind. Now, as I've mentioned before, I had a very whitewashed upbringing. School, church, neighborhood, the whole nine. And one of the reasons for that was this particular private school that I attended. Now, I don't regret going there. I loved going there. I learned a lot. But as I look back, I can't think of anyone who was in that environment at the time who was equipped to properly teach me about slavery and the ongoing impact that it had on people who look like me and America. And if they weren't equipped to teach me, they definitely weren't equipped to teach my counterparts. So either because she didn't quite know what she was doing, or because she really did, she wanted my image of slavery to come from that book. I was 12, so I took her suggestion. I read the book. Subsequently, I watched the movie. And then for years afterward, whenever I thought of America in the mid to late 1800s, I thought about Scarlet and Red and Mammy and Prissy, played by the inimitable Butterfly McQueen, who will come up again later. And the beautiful dresses and the gigantic plantation homes, and the inevitability of war, and its merciless, unnecessary destruction, and the pain and the loss of human life, and the loss of infrastructure, and the loss of everything. And my little middle school mind thought it all seemed like such a waste, especially when the catalyst was a group of people trying to hold on to something that never should have been happening in the first place. But because my views were shaped by, 1, a northern private school, and 2, a Georgian white supremacist who was alive at the turn of the century, I had no idea what was going on in Texas from 1863 to 1865. My knowledge of that would come much, much later. I heard a Black reporter say, in discussing Juneteenth, that people should treat the holiday the way they treat July 4th, like a celebration of independence. First, by educating yourself about its meaning, taking time to remember, and then by doing something fun, like having a barbecue. And the holiday has been a massive cause for celebration in the Black community, really since 1866. They put on that first set of parties on the first anniversary, and I don't blame them. But I'm not quite ready to celebrate Juneteenth by attending a cookout or watching fireworks. Now, the official date was yesterday, but it has its national observance today because last year it was proclaimed to be a federal holiday. And that's progress for sure. But the reason I'm not ready to celebrate Juneteenth is because every time I think about Juneteenth, it reminds me of why we have a Juneteenth to begin with, which is slavery. And not just slavery, but the purposeful, illegal, 2.5 years extended enslavement of 250,000 additional African American people. I am so thankful and grateful that freedom eventually found everyone. But enslavement never should have found us in the first place. I love a haiku. I mean, I really do. It's my favorite poetry structure. Has been since I learned about it. And so I chose a haiku for today because I decided that choosing my favorite type of poetry would be part of the way that I celebrate Juneteenth. But this poem doesn't have anything to do with this day specifically. It is by Sonia Sanchez. And honestly, I feel like it applies to every day, including today, which is why I chose it. It's titled very simply, a haiku written from Peking. Let me wear the day well, so when it reaches you, you will enjoy it. I can't tell you what this day means for you, but I can encourage you to study what it has meant for those who have gone before us. And I can encourage you to take a look at how past events reverberate forward through history to continue to affect people in the present, like us. And I can encourage you to appreciate your freedom and the opportunity that that freedom gives you to create the life that you are meant to live. That's how I'll be celebrating my Juneteenth today. I'll see you tomorrow.